Hey folks, welcome back. You know, the world of music has seen some real tragedies over the years. It's heartbreaking when talented musicians who had so much more to share are taken from us too soon, and in such violent ways. Whether it's a senseless act by a stranger or a shocking betrayal by someone close, the loss hits hard. And what's even more unsettling? Some of these cases remain unsolved, leaving us with more questions than answers. This is the story of famous musicians who were murdered.
I'm dead. John Lennon can't be dead.
John Lennon wasn't just a musician. He was a cultural force, a voice of a generation and a symbol of peace. As a founding member of the Beatles, his songs became the soundtrack to the 1960s, shaping the era's counterculture and leaving an indelible mark on music history. But Lennon was more than just a Beatle. His solo work, particularly Imagine, offered a vision of a better world, a utopia that many still yearn for today.
Imagine all the people.
On December 8, 1980, that vision was tragically cut short. After a day filled with the usual rhythm of a New York winter, Lennon returned to his home at the Dakota. There, a so-called fan, Mark David Chapman, waited in the shadows. Just hours earlier, Lennon had signed an album for him, not knowing it would be the last autograph he'd ever give. Chapman, obsessed and unhinged, shot Lennon 4 times at close range. The world stood still as the news spread, a global outcry of disbelief and sorrow. He was gone before he could even be treated, leaving a void that still echoes today. But Lennon's words, "All we are saying is give peace a chance," still resonate, reminding us of the power of music to inspire change. His legacy lives on in every note, every lyric, and every person who believes in a world united by love. Rest in peace, John. Your music will forever be our guide. Imagine the rhythm of reggae, a beat that moves not just your feet but your soul. Now think of Peter Tosh, one of the men who helped to shape that sound. A founding member of the Wailers, Tosh stood shoulder to shoulder with Bob Marley, crafting the soundtrack of a generation. But unlike Marley's mellow vibes, Tosh brought fire to the music, especially when he went solo with hits like Legalize It. Tragically, on September 11, 1987, Tosh's life was cut short in the most brutal way. A gang stormed into his Jamaican home, demanding money he simply didn't have on hand. When Tosh couldn't meet their demands, they tortured him and others present. The night ended in horror as the men opened fire, silencing Peter, his friend Wilton Doc Brown, and disc jockey Jeff Dixon forever. But you can't kill a legend. His voice still echoes through the airwaves, his message of freedom and resistance as powerful as ever. He once said, "I'm not a politician, I only suffer the consequences." And suffer he did, but his legacy? Untouchable. In the early 2000s, heavy metal fans were still riding high on the thunderous riffs of Pantera, largely thanks to the raw talent of Daryl Lance Abbott, better known as Dimebag Darrell. After Pantera's split, Darrell poured his heart into a new project, Damage Plan, determined to keep the spirit of metal alive. But on December 8, 2004, that fire was abruptly snuffed out. While performing at the Alrosa Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio, a deranged fan named Nathan Gale stormed the stage during the band's first song. In a senseless act of violence, Gale shot and killed Darrell, who was just 38 years old. The horror didn't stop there. Gale also took the lives of 3 others that night. Damage Plan's head of security, Jeff Mayhem Thompson, a fan Nathan Bray, and a club employee Aaron Halk. The tragedy only ended when a police officer fatally shot Gale, preventing even more bloodshed. Darrell's legacy? It lives on, loud and clear in every searing solo and crushing riff that echoes through the metal world. In 1964, the music world lost one of its brightest stars under mysterious and tragic circumstances. Sam Cooke, the voice behind timeless hits like A Change Is Gonna Come, met his end at the Hacienda Motel in South Central LA. The official story claims that Cooke was shot by the motel manager, Bertha Franklin, in an act of self-defense. But with conflicting accounts and unanswered questions, many have wondered if there's more to the story. Was it a case of mistaken intentions, or something darker? Cooke's legacy endures, but the truth behind that fateful night remains elusive. The night of September 7, 1996, is etched in the annals of hip-hop history, a night when the world lost Tupac Shakur, a rapper who wasn't just making music, but a statement. After attending a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas, Tupac was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. The sheer audacity of the crime, right in the middle of the bustling Vegas Strip, sent shockwaves across the globe. Despite the passage of nearly 3 decades, the mystery surrounding his death still lingers, fueled by theories and whispers of what might have been. Tupac's voice wasn't just lost, it was silenced in a storm of bullets, a tragic end to a revolutionary talent. The rose that grew from concrete was cut far too soon. Marvin Gaye, the soul legend who brought us timeless hits like I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Sexual Healing, met a tragic end on April 1, 1984. His voice, smooth as silk, was the soundtrack to countless lives. But behind that velvet sound was a man locked in a lifelong battle with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., a strict Christian minister. Their relationship was fraught, stretching back to Marvin's childhood. That fateful day, a heated argument erupted in the family home, and in a moment of rage, Gaye Sr. reached for a .38 pistol, firing twice at his son. The first shot pierced Marvin's heart, ending his life just a day shy of his 45th birthday. It was a heartbreaking conclusion to a complicated life that had touched so many. Marvin Gaye's legacy lives on, not just in his music, but in the lesson that even the brightest stars can have their darkest moments. Jaco Pastorius, the man who redefined the electric bass, left us far too soon in a way that still stings decades later. It was 1987 when a confrontation outside a Florida nightclub ended in tragedy. Pastorius, known for his wild spirit and unmatched talent, was beaten severely by a bouncer, leading to his death. This wasn't just any musician we lost. It was the man who made the bass sing like no one before him. His innovative playing on tracks like Birdland with Weather Report set a new standard for jazz. Even today, his influence resonates with bass players around the world. As Jaco himself once said, "It ain't bragging if you can back it up." Rest peacefully, Jaco. King Curtis was a legendary saxophonist and bandleader who left an indelible imprint on R&B, jazz, and rock. The list of artists with whom he worked is long and impressive, including Aretha Franklin, Jimi Hendrix, Buddy Holly, Waylon Jennings, and the Coasters. Those collaborations, along with his solo work, made King Curtis a musical force to be reckoned with. On August 12, 1971, Curtis got into a dispute with a man named Juan Montanez, who was loitering outside the musician's Manhattan apartment. Montanez stabbed Curtis, who died in the hospital the next morning. Mia Zapata was the voice and heart of the Gits, a punk band that had Seattle's grunge scene buzzing in the early 90s. Her powerful, raw energy on stage promised a future that was tragically cut short. In 1993, at just 27, Mia was brutally raped and murdered, a crime that shook the local music community to its core. For nearly a decade, her case went cold, but in 2003, a breakthrough came when DNA evidence led to the arrest of Jesus Mezquia. He was a stranger to Mia, yet lived disturbingly close to where her body was discovered. Mezquia was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 36 years behind bars. Mia's legacy, however, lives on in the music she left behind and the unbreakable spirit she embodied. Her voice still echoes in every corner of the punk world. Rest in power, Mia. You will never be forgotten. It's a cold February night in 1972, and the world lost one of its greatest jazz trumpeters in a way nobody could have imagined. Lee Morgan, known for his fiery style and unforgettable performances, was gunned down at the young age of 33. The tragedy? It was his common-law wife, Helen, who pulled the trigger. Lee was at Slug's Saloon in New York, a regular spot for jazz lovers, when an argument with Helen escalated beyond reason. Some say she was fed up with his infidelities, while others think it was simply a heated moment that spiraled out of control. Whatever the reason, that single shot ended the life of a man who was just hitting his stride musically. May he rest in peace. Thanks for sticking with us through this tough topic. It's never easy to talk about these tragic losses, but it's important to remember the incredible impact these musicians had on our lives and the legacy they left behind. If you found this video meaningful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. And if you want to stay connected and explore more stories like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.